Drummond Island Dogman, chapters 39 and 40. Chapter 39. Everyone on the island had advance warning of the coming blizzard, so we were prepared. Over 15 inches of snow caused school to be canceled for 2 days. Power was knocked out. Most of my friends spent the day helping with snow removal and riding snowmobiles. A blizzard on the island was more like a party atmosphere, if you ask me. I always laughed when I saw huge snowstorms strike big cities. They get 6 inches of snow and everybody whines like it's the end of the world. For us in northern Michigan, especially on Drummond Island, snow time meant playtime. But reports soon came out on the local news that had nothing to do with the blizzard. A woman in Detour Village on the mainland of the Upper Peninsula reported seeing what she called a giant dog in her yard one night during the snowstorm. The falling snow, however, filled in any tracks that would have been left. 2 days later, about 25 miles away in Cedarville, large tracks the same size and shape left by Dogman on Drummond Island were discovered near the harbor. A day after that, near Pontchartrain Shores, a man photographed a dark figure near his barn. The picture was blurry, but it sure looked a lot like the beast that had attacked Delaney and me on the island. Tracks in the snow led across the ice to Mackinac Island. Although no one on the island reported seeing anything unusual, his tracks wound through the island and into the center of town. The tracks again crossed the ice, this time farther south, across the frozen straits of Mackinac. In Mackinac City, the tracks in the snow continued at Fort Michilimackinac State Park, which was closed for the season. The beast, the horrifying legendary creature known as Dogman, had returned to Michigan's Lower Peninsula. And to this day, he's still out there somewhere in the night, waiting and watching from the shadows and the darkness. Waiting, watching, stalking. Chapter 40. Spring came. It's a magical time of the year on Drummond Island. The ice and snow give way to rain and warmer temperatures. The leaves return to the trees and everything is lush and green and full and rich. The spring and summer months have often been referred to as a rebirth of sorts, with everything new and fresh. Nowhere is that more apparent and true than on beautiful Drummond Island. Of course, summer followed tightly on spring's departing heels. For me, that meant two things. First, it meant that school let out. I like school for the most part, but by the time May and June roll around, the only things on my mind were the summer months and all of the things I would do on the island. I know a lot of kids are into computers and video games, and I guess I like those things too. But I like being outside, best of all. In the woods, hiking, fishing, exploring, riding the side-by-side. My summers on the island are like living in a waking dream every day. The only bad news was that Dad told me that there was a chance we were going to move to Sault Ste. Marie in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. He said that he might have to go there for work, and if so, we'd be moving. I hoped not, because I would miss the island and my friends, but I didn't have to think about that for a while. One afternoon in July, Delaney and I rode the side-by-side out to Turtle Ridge ORV Park, which is open from May through November. People come from all over with their four-wheel drives, dirt bikes, and other off-road vehicles. There are miles and miles of trails and hills to ride, and it's one of the most popular tourist places on the island. Of course, there's lots of other things to see and do, but Turtle Ridge is my favorite. Delaney's too. The day was sunny and the place was busy. There were four-wheel drive vehicles lined up in the gravel parking lot, with many of them heading out or coming in from the trails. Lots of people today, Delaney said as I shut off the engine. We took off our helmets and stood standing and stretching next to the side-by-side. We gazed at some of the souped-up Jeeps and trucks and other vehicles parked all around. A long row of dirt bikes and four-wheelers caked with mud were parked nearby. From behind us, I heard a girl's voice approaching. "It's all made up," I heard her say. "No, it's not," a boy's voice replied. "There's no such thing as Dogman," the girl insisted. That got her attention. Delaney and I looked at each other and then turned to see a boy and a girl about our age walking toward us. "It's all just a bunch of nonsense," the girl continued. "My dad says so. Those kids said that Dogman attacked them last fall. They probably made everything up." "No, we didn't," Delaney quickly shot back. The boy and girl stopped in their tracks and looked at us. "That was us," I chimed in. "We were the ones it happened to, and we didn't make anything up." "Sure it did," the girl said, rolling her eyes. "No, really," Delaney said. "It happened. Dogman is real." The girl's name was Fern, and the boy was Liam. They were cousins, both from Lansing, Michigan. They were on vacation, a big family reunion of sorts. All of the people in their family, Fern told us, were huge off-road fans, so that's why they'd all gathered on Drummond Island. Fern and Liam listened intently as we recounted the horrifying experience we'd had the previous fall. When we were finished, the two cousins looked at one another. Well, Fern said, I still find it hard to believe, but you sound like you're telling the truth. You can't make up stuff like that, Delaney said. Every word of what we said is true, and he's still out there somewhere, most likely on the lower peninsula. Fern and Liam looked at one another. Well, Fern said, we've got a story that's even more horrifying than that. Delaney and I looked at one another puzzled. What could be more horrifying than a giant hairy creature that wants to gobble you up, she said. Leprechauns, Liam replied, as if just the word alone would back up Fern's claim. I nearly laughed out loud, but I wanted to be polite. Leprechauns? I said. It was meant to be a question, but that's not the way it sounded. Fern and Liam nodded. Exactly, Fern said, but I'm not talking about fake leprechauns, real ones. Scary ones. Again, I suppressed the urge to laugh. Fern was out of her mind, and so was her cousin, if they expected us to believe anything about real leprechauns. Scary leprechauns? I asked, with a slight smirk and raised eyebrows. Even if leprechauns were real, I couldn't see anything scary about them. Delaney, however, looked fascinated. You aren't kidding, she asked. Fern and Liam shook their heads. I wish we were, Fern said. Want to hear about it? Did we ever? And so we listened, just as intently as they had listened to our Dogman story, as Fern and Liam told us all about the lair of the Lansing leprechauns. And that book is coming up next.